Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I was speaking briefly on
Sorry about that.
I was speaking briefly on the Neymar transfer. The basic current developments are that he is on his way with his father and his agent to Paris to sort out the intricacies of the deal. This will be obviously a world record transfer fee. I believe it's double what the previous transfer record fee was for Paul Pogba to Manchester United.
Wow, that's Owen Wilson going, wow.
And incidentally,
Sorry to sound insincere.
the reasoning behind it, I believe Neymar said that he wanted to become the best player in the world, and he didn't believe he could be the best player in the world whilst he was playing behind Lionel Messi. I believe that's been what has been reported to be the reason behind his wishing to leave Barcelona. So that front three of Messi, Suarez, Neymar will no longer be structured as it is. But it's a bit sad for the purist in football for such a brilliant attacking trio to be split up.
So inconsequential.
It's
really.
like when Busted broke up.
Busted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incidentally.
Well, you could have gone with One Direction, actually. That's a lot more apt.
No.
Here, what do you call him? Is it Zian? Who did We Got to Get Away? I never thought I would actually sing on the radio. Jesus.
I actually don't have a clue, to be honest.
It's one of the One Direction people. Maybe it is Zian.
We'll call
No,
him.
it's Harry Styles.
It's Harry.
Harry Styles.
Okay.
That We Got to Get Away.
I haven't heard the song, but
It's good. It's good.
Very good.
Actually, I'll see if we have it on the old thing. We can play it for you.
Oh, are you connecting with your fellow stylers?
Stylers?
Is that the term?
I don't know.
Ah, you do.
What are you talking about?
No. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
No, incidentally, what I wanted to get back to is why do you have such a disdain for football, Shay?
A disdain?
The beautiful game.
It's just echoed everywhere. It's just so.
Like all great things.
What do you mean? Like all great things? Yeah, but football's not great.
I know. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Do you not appreciate the drama? The stories?
It's alright, but it's just getting into the minutiae of it. I don't know what adds to it.
What do you mean what adds? It's sufficient on its own.
Well, they just watch football.
I know. I want other people to do it.
No. You're saying Neymar's going over here, blah blah. Is with his dad, 190 million. That's what I picked out.
Yeah, but
Quite impressive, actually.
You have to get the context beforehand. You have to get the introduction.
The introduction.
You have to know how the story starts
Yeah.
before you see how how the season plays out.
Here's my trump card. I'm not interested in the story though.
Why does the drama not compel you?
No, because it's football. Let me see. Let me think if I can think up of a robust analogy. Yeah, like
There is none because football's amazing.
no, it was if somebody runs a really good warehouse, I don't care how many tons of tuna there are in the inside warehouse or how it is stacked inside warehouse. You're the sort of person that's going to be going. They're putting John West next to Tesco's own. Tesco's own doesn't think it can hold its own if it's next to John West and a shelf in a warehouse.
So are you implying that I care too much about the inner details?
Well, the main thing is football is terrible.
Okay, so what constitutes good in your mind?
What constitutes good?
Sports.
Interesting, has you on the edge of your seat.
Football.
But it doesn't. It's just like they kick about for 40 minutes. Is he going to score? No, he's not going to score. What?
45.
Oh no, I was just taking an arbitrary number of
Oh.
how long they like go about the pitch. It's like, is he going to score? No, he's not going to score. Back to the drudgery. I mean, at least with cricket, it's consistent. You know what you're watching.
Okay. So
I think I've won that. Next segment.
no, it's not so much that you've won; it's that I have realized the futility of my efforts.
Yeah. Sort of a lost cause. Is that what you would say?
Okay, so if football isn't your cup of tea, what is then? What sparks your interest?
Life.
Life.
Jesus.
Life and G's. Life's boring.
Life is boring.
Life is boring for the most part. Yeah, you're not gonna formulate.
Being a radio DJ, that's what gives me zest.
Gives you meaning.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
so for those 20 odd years, there was nothing.
Nothing.
It was desolate.
Well, no, there was Bant. It just wasn't broadcast before. There was this.
There was this, but it just wasn't on the
And
Irish.
now we
For-
have
for
taken
people-
the
for people
we have
to ro-
taken the mutual decision to burden other people with said band.
We have given people the opportunity to roll their eyes.
Yeah, and go, what are they talking about? Yeah.
So, it was, so
I went on that segment on Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson used to go, I went on the internet today and I found this.
Yes.
And then the audience would
Yeah,
recoil.
Yes,
and,
I recall the structure.
and Richard Hamill would be like, oh, good lord. And James May was like, what is that? Or something.
Yeah, I recall the structure.
I went on the internet.
Okay. Is this broadcastable?
I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
It's nothing inappropriate. It is mind-blowing, though. And I make no apologies for it.
Hit me with it.
And what would you say if I were to tell you that Hitler did not die in Berlin in 1945?
I would say...
Evidence, please.
I would say evidence, please.
There's the evidence. You can hear that's the evidence sound effect. I went on the internet and I went on to the FBI's declassified files.
From the official FBI...
From the official Federal Bureau of Intelligence.
investigation.
Yeah. I went on one section. What?
Investigation.
Oh, is it?
Yes, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I really thought it was intelligence.
No, CIA is Central Intelligence
Yeah,
Agency.
yeah,
They
I
all
know.
mix in together. It's easy to do.
Oh, wow.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, the FBI.
I went in and I typed in Adolf Hitler, and there were four links, okay, and one link had about 400 documents.
Ooh.
They were done up on a typewriter and had I'm gonna be able to show in. I can't show the rest. Yeah, they had little black marks on it like that.
I can appreciate that.
It's sort of like sort of black ink that you would write over to hide a name or some important detail you don't want the public to know. And it about so
And what's in the documents?
I'll get to that. It's really interesting. I only have one of the documents because printing credits.
I appreciate the struggle.
Yeah. Anyway, there's like 400 on link 1, 200 on link 2, and then a couple of hundred on link 3 and 4. They were all done up on a typewriter. Some were handwritten letters, and some had like handwritten signatures on them, and they all pertain to the whereabouts of Adolf Hitler. And I'll read you part of it now. I would
Story time with Shay.
Story time with Shay, new segment. I would encourage you to fuel this inquisitorial side of you. Hopefully, with our mad conspiracy theories, we've helped do that somewhat. Just go on to FBI The Vault. Slightly alarming. It's not on the official FBI website. It's on a separate website called FBI Vault. But it looks official, so Anyway, I'll read you out part of it here. Blank. That's a really bad way to start, but anyway, Blank is the name, was one of 4 men who met Hitler and his party when they landed from 2 submarines in Argentina, approximately 2.5 weeks after the fall of Berlin. Blank continued that the first sub came close to shore about 11 p.m. After it had been signaled it was safe to land, and a doctor and several men disembarked. Approximately 2 hours later, the second sub came ashore, and Hitler, 2 women, another doctor, and several more men, making the whole party arriving by submarines. Submarines approximately 50 were aboard. By pre-arranged plan with 6 top Argentine officials, pack horses were waiting for the group, and by daylight all supplies were loaded onto the horses, and an all-day trip inland towards the foothills of the Southern Andes was started. At dusk, the party arrived at the ranch where Hitler and his party, according to Blank, are now in hiding.
And they sit around the campfire every night and
I don't know.
toast marshmallows and ride the horses into the sunset.
Yeah, they do very picturesque things.
Go mountain walking on weekends and
yeah,
and now sing German songs with the Argentines in the local village.
Yeah. I wonder what would you do in hiding, like if you were Hitler?
I know, read. Probably.
Read.
The internet wasn't invented.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sorry, I'll have to pause you there. People, do you not think this is staggering? I thought this was staggering.
The elites are covering this up.
This is actual FBI files that Hitler didn't die in Berlin, and they knew of his existence and whereabouts.
Now, I must reiterate.
No.
FBI The Vault. Was the Vault in capital letters?
No, only T and V were.
Right. Was it in a crazy conspiratorial font?
No, it looked. No, it looked legit. It looked legit.
Okay, so are these? Do you have any sort of verification these are legitimate files? Incidentally,
I would maintain that it is an extremely elaborate hoax because, as I've told you, there must be about near 1,000 documents done up on the typewriter and handwritten with all these like blank things thrown over it, and it doesn't just exist for Hitler. There's stuff in Al Capone, just crime, narcotics, all sorts of stuff. So it is a very elaborate hoax if it were true. There were also other documents saying that Hitler had plastic surgery in California and then learned English and spoke without an accent. And there was an FBI agent then went to, I think it was Mexico, I think he was hiding out in Mexico, and said that the man in question had quite a young face in comparison to his arms and legs, which were that of a man of about 70, but his face was quite young. We've blown it open. Rivers of Bant with Shea Grant and Enemy Gone have released, I think that's the biggest find of
this week.
this week, yeah. That and Neymar.
Not Neymar.
See,
It's not like,
I mean, we only have 20 minutes to end the left. Imagine if we talked about Neymar and not about the existence of Hitler.
no, people
South
know
America.
his. People
Oh,
know.
no. Okay.
We're not. Well, that's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That Hitler didn't exist.
Yeah.
Incidentally, okay, I'll look at it from a sort of logical point of view. Let's assume that this is.
Logic.
I know.
That's
It's
logic.
tragic when I go into it from a logical point of view.
Yeah.
So
Be sensationalist. Be like, oh my god, that's absolutely amazing.
okay, so structure wise,
Why did the elites not reveal they knew Hitler was alive?
so the fall of Berlin happened. The Allies win. Hitler goes on the submarine to
Yeah,
Argentina.
well, we don't know at what point actually he left Berlin, so.
Okay, so the Argentine officials, some individuals of fairly high ranking.
Well, it is actually true that there were a lot of high ranking Nazi officials in Argentina and other South American countries, like Joseph Mengele, the doctor who was present in a lot of the concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Argentina and I think was assassinated by Mossad, the Israeli,
Israeli
intelligence.
special services.
Yeah. So I believe it is true that there was a sort of sympathy to
Although
the
the
Nazis. In
the
South
document
America.
said Argentine officials, though. It
Yeah.
didn't say literally Nazis. I mean, people can be.
Oh no! I'm just saying that reiterates the sympathy that existed in Argentina towards Nazis.
Well, maybe you could argue that, or maybe you could argue that was just a place for them to hide. You could argue maybe there isn't any sympathy from the Argentines. It's just that they're good.
Sorry, what exactly are you saying?
Well, your argument is essentially that because there were Nazis in Argentina.
No, that's not what. When I said, I'm saying that because there were Nazis in Argentina, perhaps, there was a contingent of Argentinians,
Yep.
perhaps high up in their government or whatever, who want to offer them a shelter or asylum or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
So I'm not saying that the people who met Hitler from the submarine were Nazis. I'm saying they were, as it says here, Argentine officials.
yes,
They were perhaps sympathetic to their cause.
No, I understand the structure of that argument, but could you not say that maybe those Nazis went there because they knew they wouldn't be found? They knew the country was structured in such a way that the police wouldn't be able to find them. It was like.
Well, why were they meeting with Argentine officials then?
No, but that's the point. Your argument that there are not sympathetic Argentine officials is, these were Nazis that definitely were in Argentina. Therefore, there must be Argentine individuals who are sympathetic towards the Nazi cause, and therefore it makes sense that the Argentine officials met them.
Yes.
But
I'm not saying. I'm actually saying that I think this sympathy maybe existed prior to other Nazis actually arriving there. I'm saying I have heard in the past that.
Why do the Argentines in particular have sympathies towards the Nazi ideology? Well, not Argentines altogether, but why was there some contingent of their population? I mean, would it not be more sensible for them to travel, I don't know, into, say, Africa or into Asia rather than Argentina?
North Africa would have been controlled by the French and the British, wouldn't it have?
Yes.
And, of course, they have a little beef with them, don't they?
Well, there's also German colonies, I think.
Maybe further south. I'm not.
Maybe not. I'm
sort of
only
mid-Africa.
presuming.
Yeah, there definitely were German colonies in Africa, but I think like Morocco, Libya, Sudan, those would have been French colonies, wouldn't
Okay. So
they? And then to get through Palestine and down to
Mhm.
Suez and that, you would have gone through British,
Bit
down through Israel, Jordan. You'd have gone through British.
bit tricky then.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So I'll take it as a given that Argentina was the best place in the planet. Why didn't they go to Brazil? Is Argentina on the other side?
No, Argentina shares a border with Brazil. Do you know Tierra del
I'm,
Fuego?
I'm thinking of
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of Chile on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. So we give it that Argentina sounds like an okay place to go.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitler goes there with his merry band of men and
Mm-hmm.
2 women, meets the officials, and goes into hiding. Is that all he does? Does he ever?
Does he
ever?
try to recapture that love of art that he once had?
Does he ever paint again? Does
Does
he
he
ever?
ever
Does he
paint
ever
again?
write another book? Does he?
I don't know. If I were Hitler, I would not say, I think this is a good time to write my memoirs.
And so,
I mean, it would be #1 bestseller, but I'd
and so was this?
maybe a bit self-defeatist.
And so was the implementation of this purely the role of some members of the Argentine government?
I had this sort of like shelter for them.
Yes.
Um,
Would it not be?
like most things in this, I honestly don't know.
Well, what do you think though?
What do I think?
Say it with enough conviction and it sounds true.
Yeah. Why would I think that the Argentine government wanted to get?
No, how far up does it go?
Oh, okay, how far off does it go? Yeah, is it a sentiment that just? Yeah, I really don't know.
And why did the FBI not act upon this information?
Yeah. Well,
Because it's all a part of the elites.
the elites. Well, I suppose the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah.
Got him.
I suppose they would be primarily concerned about the security of the United States, would they not?
Okay, would you not be slightly wary of Adolf in the South and his oratorial manner to unite the South American people to go and invade America? That's an even bigger conspiracy. That's a
That is-
conspiracy within a conspiracy.
Yeah. What would Hitler's incentive be though? I finally escaped.
Vengeance,
Although actually, I have
like an anime,
like what?
like an anime.
Did this just ended Hitler secretly become a weeaboo in Argentina?
No, that could be the plot of
What?
That
Of
could
an
be the
anime?
plot of an anime. Hitler taking vengeance by uniting the South American people and going north to take revenge for his ancestors.
Oh my. This is ridiculous.
This is facetious.
Yeah.
The
So
main
why would the FBI not act upon this?
yes. In this web of lies, so to speak.
Well, why would they not act upon? They definitely couldn't act upon it 20 years later, but why would they not act upon it immediately?
Yeah.
Why would they not act upon it immediately? I like it.
Maybe they thought he was no threat.
Perhaps the. Yeah, I'm thinking no threat, and of course the rise of, of communism in East Berlin and the Soviet Union. That would have been of prime concern, probably.
Okay, so the man who started World War II is just incidental in the
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Well, I suppose like if Berlin has fallen and the Allies claim to be, obviously it's quite a momentous day, like when it's all over, like in was it Times Square, there was a massive celebration, isn't there? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then the FBI would come out going, yeah, he's actually alive.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because it's only to tie up.
So perhaps it's to do with the sort of national sense of triumph that, the bad guy has been quashed.
That's one way to spin it. So incidentally, how did this whole Hitler's body with Eva Braun and all that there? How how did this tie up?
The Russians, I believe, were the first into Berlin, actually, or the first into that part of Berlin, and they captured the alleged remains of Hitler and brought them back to Russia. I think it was actually released recently that I think they might have had DNA specimen, DNA sample from Hitler from elsewhere, and they matched it to, I think it was a skull that they have in the Russian museum, and they didn't match up.
Oh, they didn't match up.
Didn't match up.
Okay.
So the alleged remains of Hitler that the Russians found are not the remains of Hitler, apparently.
How do you know it wasn't just some lazy Soviet soldier who just said, "Yeah, this one's Hitler"?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I don't know. Wasn't Hitler burned? Hitler and Eva Braun allegedly burned. Yeah, in a pit or something.
I'm not too sure. I'm not aware of that. Maybe it's true.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You know, the more we've delved into this, I think the more it's actually confirming my initial thoughts.
Your initial biases.
Yeah, my initial biases.
That the global elites have brought Hitler to Uruguay. I know Argentina.
To Argentina. Yeah.
Not Uruguay.
Do you know, according to the FBI files, he lived in the United States for a while. He lived in California and New York.
California and New York.
Yeah, I know. He traveled around a lot, Hitler.
I mean, he's been to more places in America than I have.
Yeah, yeah. Argentina, Mexico, California, New York,
Berlin.
Yeah.
France,
I think
France,
he was
Poland.
I think he was having a midlife crisis.
That is that conspiracy theories are interesting to delve into, interesting to dip your toe in the water.
Vital.
Interesting to dip your toe in the water of that deep lake.
Yeah.
where many good men go to drown.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, briefly we'll just play another Rivers of Bant classic, and then we'll be back to you to talk about some more Indian stuff not related to this FBI conspiracy.
Told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, wait till you get older. But the media men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture. The ice we skate is getting pretty thin. The water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid. And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars. Somebody once asked, could I spare some change for gas? I need to get myself away from this place. I said, yep, what a concept. I could use a little fuel myself, and we could all use a little change. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the rules and I'll hit the ground running. Didn't make
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons, and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade. Sometimes I get the feeling she's watching over me, and other times I feel like I should go. Went through it all, the rise and fall, the bodies in the streets, and when you're gone, we want you all to know. We'll carry on, we'll carry on, and though we upset and can't believe me, your memory will carry on, you'll carry on, and till our heart can't contain it, the anthem won't explain it. A world that sends you reeling from decimated dreams. Your misery and hate will kill us all. So paint it black and take it back and let's shout it loud and clear. Defiant to the end, we hear the call to carry on. We'll carry on. And though we upset and can't believe me, your memory will carry on. We'll carry on. And though we are broken and defeated, your weary winter marches. Now they carry through the fears. Disappointed faces of your peers. Do or die, you'll never make me, because the world will never take my heart. Go and try, you'll never break me. We want it all, we want to break this, but I won't explain or say I'm sorry. I'm unashamed, I'm gonna show my scar. Give a cheer for all the broken. Listen here, because it's who we are. Just a man, I'm not a hero, just a boy who had to sing this song. Just a man, I'm not a hero.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much the bones, the body and bones of our show. I'll just give you a brief recap of the vast array of topics that we covered this week.
It was a vast array.
Vast array. Depth and breadth was well covered this week.
Depth, breadth, all many dimensions.
With we spoke about vaccines for a good period.
yeah,
We spoke-
substantial length of time.
We spoke about their history.
I don't know if anybody feels any more well informed about them. But
No, we spoke a bit about their history. It was reasonably historically accurate.
reasonably.
I mean, a historian wouldn't say it was accurate, but I would.
yeah.
Isn't that sufficient? We talked about the source of a lot of the opposition, and then that went seamlessly on to the non-existence of Australia.
Let me butt in here. Actually, do you know the non-existence of Australia? I think that actually has some merit because basically, I think the person who came up with the idea of Australia got lazy and just sort of put cities and towns around the coast, and in the middle of Australia, there's nothing.
Oh,
Yeah, that adds to it.
ooh.
Do you not think that's slightly suspicious?
So he was geographically lazy,
Yeah.
but
That shows signs of it.
culturally he wasn't. He gave them
An accent.
a culture,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
stereotypes,
Yeah.
animals,
Yeah.
climate.
Yeah.
Just not in.
Well, he's not gonna omit the culture, so people talk about what people from Australia are like. I've never really understood.
No, but his weakness was in the laziness he went about placing his cities.
Yes, yeah.
Nothing to-
all around the coast, nothing in the middle. I mean, Australia is basically empty.
That is-
Well, it doesn't exist. But if
of,
it
cour-
did-
of course it's empty. It doesn't exist.
yeah. If it did, yeah. Also, it's full of a lot of scary animals to deter people from going there.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. He had the script all done. He had
Snakes, spiders, sharks,
he had it written out-
crocodiles.
You know, he had it written out saying great beaches, great people, nice accents, and then he goes, no, people are going to want to come to this place.
Yeah.
And then they'll realize there is none.
Yeah.
What do? Put all of the poisonous snakes, all of the poisonous spiders, crocodiles, and I'll
Yeah.
make up a kangaroo, and we'll put them all in one place.
Okay, conspiracy. I think who discovered Australia? Was it Thomas Cook?
It would be James Cook.
James Cook. Thomas Cook is the travel agent. I think he discovered Australia. He was a member of the Rothschild family. That's the story for another show, right?
Okay.
Further, Rothschild's family did not. I don't know, because maybe he just wanted to bring something back from his voyage or something.
Uh-huh.
Other Rothschild's family descended from him, even though
Right.
his surname wasn't Rothschild, but he was part of the family somehow.
Okay. And then he was killed in Hawaii as an
Yeah.
assassination to cover it all up.
Yes, they didn't want to disgrace his name, so they kept up the illusion that Australia exists.
Quite. Well, I have went from being very skeptical to being only slightly skeptical.
Yeah. Do you know what? I could be won over by this conspiracy theory.
And that is
Worrying.
that is
worrying.
that is your burden to hold.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then we moved on to conspiracy theories in general, the general structure of them, why people believe what they believe. And then we moved on to the idea of social media. Does social media perpetuate the idea of conspiracy theories? Does it allow people to get into echo chambers? And speaking of echo chambers, we got into the idea of openness in rational debate in TV and in media. We spoke about the infamous Piers Morgan interview with that Polish MEP.
Just talking about the anti-vaccine movement quickly.
Yes.
I'm not hearing a lot of sort of scientific voices from it. I hear the odd one, Dr. Wakefield. He was one who allegedly had financial incentive to dispel, or rather to
Dissuade people from
Yeah,
taking
confirm
vaccines.
the relationship between ASD and the MMR vaccine.
If
But it's very.
I believe, if I'm correct, he was banned from practicing medicine as a result.
Was he? I didn't know that.
I believe so.
His article was withdrawn though from the
From the
journal.
Lancet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that he was prevented from doing, or his medical license was stripped from him.
Was it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, the voices you hear from the anti-vaccine movement, they're all very
loud.
sensationalist, and not very
Feelings over facts.
Yeah, like I saw one video of somebody going undercover to get a vaccine. They were asking, "Is there mercury in these vaccines?" You know, and sort of saying,
What, to a nurse?
"Yeah,
How's she supposed to know?
what?"
How's she supposed to know?
I don't know. Well, imagine they get a roundup. They get they might read the thing that comes with the vaccine, or
Yeah,
I know she's not. She's not designing.
But that's
it,
like that's like reading a Kit Kat when you buy it in the shop.
yeah, there's chocolate in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
effectively, they're not going to read the fine label of what everything that's
Yeah.
in the vial. They're going to assume it's been produced correctly.
Yeah. But they ask for the presence of mercury, but like I don't know, enough vitamin C can kill you. Perhaps, you know,
Well, enough mercury can kill you.
yeah. But I think it's all about the dosage.
So we talked about that structure. We talked about those opinions, and then leading on to that, as I was saying, we were talking about openness and debate, and we talked about whether this stems from ratings or is it the ideology.
Yeah,
Does it come?
Do you think there's people high up who want to perpetuate this ideology for their own nefarious ends?
I don't know. That's the thing.
That is a really good question, because do you remember PewDiePie on the Wall Street Journal?
Mm-hmm.
They basically accused him of being a Nazi, and their evidence was shockingly poor.
Yes, it was
Because they didn't have a case.
it was cherry picked and not even the cherry picking wasn't.
Yeah, one of the things they cherry picked was the joke about him saying that they would take him out of context. it was very poor, but
it was wonderfully ironic.
It was strange though to have a very respected
Reputable
newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
and you could say it's just these journalists.
Yeah,
but these journalists have to get past editors.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
3 journalists worked on the story.
Yeah, and
That-
then
that's obviously been sanctioned by editorial staff.
right. Yeah, and then obviously if they write something that's a bit ridiculous, it's not going to make it to print. If it's,
No, the editor's going to go, "What are you doing?" But
Yeah.
this has clearly been sanctioned. This has clearly been cleared by a number of individuals.
yeah,
And so we could probably get into that more next week about the whole history of that and the whole story around that there, because it is a very interesting story. It's a bit off track at the minute, but that is another example of, are these people, because they went after the biggest one.
mm-hmm.
You could argue they're going after ratings.
yeah.
That's literally the reason why they went after the biggest one.
Is it because they feel threatened of this new media versus traditional media, or
Maybe.
what is the incentive?
You could argue that it's feeling threatened, or you could argue that just this is the best way for them to get views.
Yeah.
He gets millions to their thousands.
Oh yeah. So.
They have a staff of hundreds. He has himself in a room.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like pulling
that's going to sting.
It's like in cartoons where they pull that with the like railway where it like separates into 2 railways, and they pull the metal thing, and it's like they're basically trying to channel views towards Wall Street Journal and away from PewDiePie.
Now, but can you imagine? Say you're an editor at like the New York Times or something. You know, you've worked 30 years. and
That's not Slate.
That's not Slate. Oh, I should be specific here.
Mm-hmm.
Just at some internationally recognized newspaper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've worked your way up. You've done the rubbish stories. You've clawed your way up with scoop after scoop, and you finally get to a good position. And your role is to make sure the viewership stays as they are and improves.
Yeah.
And you look across the realm of the internet and you see some Swedish guy making jokes, getting millions,
Brofist bros.
millions
It's things
to
like
your
that.
thousands.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you had worked 30 years of your life and you saw that? I would be insane.
I would just work harder.
I would be in. I can't say on air how I would feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, from a sort of human perspective, I could understand if there was a sort of resentment there. That doesn't justify what they did.
Of course not. Yeah.
But if you look at it from that angle, maybe it's not strictly just an idea and sort of perpetuate an ideology. Maybe it's not strictly get the ratings. Maybe there's a slightly more human angle to it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's an interesting point.
I'm being fairly presumptious about their motives, but
Everything you hear here is conjecture.
except if it's right,
Yeah.
then it's true.
Like the Hitler thing.
Speaking of,
100%.
we shall move on to that next.
Yeah.
Return to my recap. I spoke about UFC 214.
About the grudge match between John Jones and Daniel Cormier, about the outcome, about the build up, and just try to give you a bit of the excitement.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit. I fangirled a bit. That'll be a fair thing to say, but I don't
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I spoke briefly about the Neymar transfer. Well, if it happens, undoubtedly the biggest transfer of the summer. Unless Messi goes somewhere, which is not happening.
Mm-hmm. We talked about performance enhancing drugs.
Yes, that led on naturally to the role of performance enhancing drugs in cycling and football. The notion of a ban is 5 years not enough. Should you have a lifetime ban? Does that actually matter?
Mm-hmm.
And then that led beautifully in to Hitler in Argentina.
Yeah.
We spoke about the FBI vault.
Yeah. I want to say, everybody, go out there, check out the evidence, the hard concrete evidence for yourself.
Look into it. I do apologize. I just
He hit the microphone.
smacked the microphone
Yeah.
while I was trying to point dramatically.
Yeah.
Look into it.
Yeah. Don't
Okay.
just take my word for it.
Don't just take my word for it. Look
Although it
into
is true.
And so that is the main summary. Vaccines, non-Australia existence, conspiracy theory, they're the same thing. social media,
Yeah.
UFC, Hitler, and art. There's a lot of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I know that is a motif among our 2 shows.
Yes, is
Conspiracy theories.
Is it going to continue?
Next week, tune in for the conspiracy theory about. Did you hear the one I remember talking to you about the Russian research at Siberia? They drilled down into the earth and they put a sound recorder in. They heard screams.
Quite.
They claim that they burrowed into hell.
They burrowed into hell.
Yeah.
Join in next week for.
They didn't try to repeat the experiment or anything, but
No, what would that be? It's not as if
That would be evidence.
it's not as if that's required.
yeah, yeah.
No, tune in next week for what you would call their own slice of hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll discuss hell and its origins next week. And to play us out,
Yep.
to play us out, we're going to play a song by Oasis, "Half the World Away," isn't it?
That is correct.
Good song.
Largely correct.
Somebody once told me